What's up, heroes? My name is Sylarclone, and welcome back to Crystalline. We are on our way to the 100 floating isles with everybody after a nice, relaxing day at the hot spring. Let's see what awaits us at the floating isles for the air temple. We set off towards the floating isles. With the bright sun in the sky, I barely feel the chill in the air. It seems like Leanna and the rest of the team are feeling much warmer too. Maybe this is from the magic of the hot springs warming us from the inside. Either way, I'm not complaining. The walk to the air temple takes a few hours. Lately, I've been getting used to all of the traveling, but why is everyone so far away from each other?
We made it.
Huh? We did?
Yep. Look.
I glance to where Leanna's pointing and my mouth drops open. There are 100 floating islands sprawled out across the sky. Hearing Amelia tell me about them was one thing, but actually seeing them in person.
I've never seen anything like it.
Me neither. They're not where I come from.
Me neither.
Even Zach looks impressed. All the aisles are of different shapes and sizes, just big enough for maybe a few people to stand on. The wind tosses the glistening grass from side to side. I can make out clusters of different flowers peppering some of the islands, pale purples and fluffy magentas.
Just as I expected, the temple should be here.
Huh? Where exactly? Amelia points above the isles and up into the clouds.
You and Leanna will find the air temple at the highest floating isle.
It's a good thing I'm not scared of heights.
We'll set up here while you guys go do your thing.
Good luck.
Thanks. Leanna and I nod.
Off we go then.
Tally-ho and away we go! Leanna and I travel up the slope in silence. After a while, I glance back and feel unease when the rest of our party members are no longer in sight. As we continue to travel upwards, I feel my ears pop. Just how high up are we? We finally reach the pinnacle point of the mountain. What a view! Wow, that's super cool. Alright, enough gawking. The isles are closer and look even more impressive. The closest isles look deceivingly close, but I know that if I tried to jump it without the boost of magic, I'd never make it. A breeze ruffles my hair as I step closer to the edge. I look down and down and down and down. My chest tightens. That's a very long drop.
Don't worry, we're not going in that direction.
Good! Leanna gives me a reassuring smile. I feel slightly better, but my stomach is still in knots. I glance up at the first aisle. How are we going to do this? Leanna sprints past me and effortlessly jumps high in the air. She lands gracefully onto the platform. No matter how many times I've watched Leanna use magic to augment physical skills, it never ceases to amaze me at just how badass it is.
Your turn. Take a running start and jump. I'll boost you over.
As I look at the massive gap between the edge and the first aisle, my knees become shaky and weak. What if I really do fall? Yeah, you know what? I trust Leanna. I've believed in Leanna so far. No reason to doubt her now. I close my eyes and recompose myself. This is going to be quite literally a leap of faith. I step a few paces back and get ready to sprint. Ready?
Yep.
Here goes nothing. I dash towards the end and jump with all my strength. I feel a powerful gust of wind lift me high into the air. Whoa! In one smooth motion, I make it onto the platform with a breeze softening my landing. My heart is racing.
You okay?
That was awesome! Leanna looks surprised, then giggles.
You ready for the next one?
Yeah, let's do it! We walk across the aisle and position ourselves to jump onto the next one.
All right. You're going to try this next jump with your own magic channeling.
My blood runs cold. My magic? Leanna nods.
I know you can do it. You just have to use the wind like a springboard and you'll fly right over. Find the spot that you're going to take off from and conjure a powerful gust of wind from there as you jump.
Right. Leanna speaks encouragingly, trying to calm my nerves.
Don't worry. If it doesn't work, I'll help.
I look at the next aisle.
Just remember what we've practiced. You'll be fine.
I nod and prepare a running start. Use the wind as a springboard. Right. I could do that. I suck in a deep breath. To infinity. And yonder! I dash ahead, forcing myself to push back past my nerves and focus my mind on my manipulator. My stomach drops as my feet leave the ground, but I try to push through the fear and focus on my casting. A surge of energy shoots down my arm. My gauntlet glows in the air, swirls up around me, pushing me forward. I let out a startled cry as I fly through the air. I land hard on the next isle, and I feel the wind escape me. But at least I made it over on my own.
That was excellent.
Leanna floats onto the same isle and lands gracefully on her feet, a wide smile on her face.
You were able to augment your abilities on the first try. I'm so proud of you.
Hug me. Her smile is contagious, and I grin back. Thanks.
You ready to keep going?
I nod, now brimming with confidence. Let's go. As one, Leanna and I leap and land on the next island, and the next, and the next. The first few times I jump, I float shakily in the air, but the more I cast, the easier it becomes. We hop from isle to isle, keeping pace and making good time. Leanna catches my grin and laughs, springing ahead of me. I smirk. Two can play at that game. I push forward with another surge of magical energy and race ahead of her.
It's like that, is it?
Yes, we're racing now. She wears a determined look, and a roar of wind soars her overhead. You're on! I leap after her. Minigame will be available later. Cool, I wonder what they're going to do with it. Gonna do well, of course, you don't want to do poorly. We leap from platform to platform. The whole time I managed to keep pace with Leanna. Her sunny hair whips about with each jump. Her laughter streams across the clouds, bright and delighted. We race forward, but I can't quite seem to pass her. We finally soar and slide to a stop on the final platform, our shoes flinging up grass and dirt. I laugh, the sound breathless and spiky. My lungs burn as I take in gulps of air. Now that we finally stopped, I realize how much energy I've used. My muscles ripple with exhaustion. I feel like I could collapse and take a nap right here. Do you mind if we take a quick break? She nods.
That's a good idea. You aren't used to such a heavy energy usage in a short amount of time.
Not at all. It's comfortable and peaceful as Leanna and I sit down.
It's beautiful here.
I follow her gaze. It really is. The clouds look as soft as sponge sugar. They glide across the blue sky. Dappled sunlight glints off of Leanna's white armor. Her hair dances across her face as we watch the sun begin to dip low behind the clouds.
It's so nice here. It makes me happy.
Happy? She nods.
I don't feel so weighed down here. It's like I'm free.
I blink at her, curious. Free from what?
Everything. It's just, I don't know. The looming responsibility of the world weighs me down sometimes.
I get that. A small chuckle puffs out of me. The looming responsibility of the world? Leanna blushes.
I suppose it's not the whole world. It's just, there's sometimes so much expectation. From the Mage Guild, from guards and places we visit because of the sigil.
She hesitates for a second.
And from my family. It all gets so overwhelming.
She hasn't really talked much about her family. She's always so calm, collected, and upbeat. I guess it's hard to remember she's human too when she keeps up such a strong facade. She doesn't talk about her family much, and from the way she hesitated when mentioning them just now, I gather their relationship may be strained. Just a little. Expectations from your family? She pauses and hugs her knees close to her chest.
Well, in this world, a lot of women my age are already married and have children. It's something my family has always wanted for me. Those things, they aren't bad, but it's not something I want to think about right now.
Good for you for that.
I want to explore and see everything. I want to be free.
I nod, understanding. It must have been tough to constantly have those expectations on your shoulders. Leanna smiles, but it doesn't reach her eyes. She shrugs.
Yeah. I love my family, but we definitely have different views on things.
I nod. Yeah, of course. There's a pause.
Ever since I joined the Mage Guild, I feel like I can finally breathe. I can look to the horizon and know that I can just go there.
There's another pause.
But all this doesn't matter. I know I'll have to leave the guild one day and fulfill the expectations others have for me. Why even bother doing any of this if it's also fleeting?
Sometimes it's better not to think about what's to come. It's better just to enjoy the moment for how it is. Leanna blinks.
Enjoy the moment.
I grin and nod. Yeah, just appreciate things for how they are right now. Leanna looks a little confused, but interested. The experiences you have, the memories you make, those are not fleeting. They stay with you forever. They make you who you are as a person. If you get so wrapped up on how you're supposed to live, you forget to actually live.
I never really thought about it like that.
I nod reassuringly. Like today. You're free and able to travel, right? We've been hopping around in the air, and it's been fun. And I don't know about you, but when I'm soaring through the clouds, I can't think of anything except how amazing that moment feels. That's how you should live every day. Leanna tilts her head, intrigued.
That's an interesting way to view things. But what about the responsibilities you still have?
Nah, I don't care about responsibilities or obligations. It's a balance. Well, it really is a balance. Yeah, I do. I have to get good grades at school or else I won't graduate. And I have to respect and honor my parents, but I also have to respect my own dreams for life. I try to make each day one step at a time, or I try to take each day one step at a time. It's good to respect your obligations, but try to push forward with what you want for your life. Leanna looks like she's processing what I said.
Oh, I see.
Besides, no one knows what life will throw your way. If someone told me a month ago that I'd be in another world talking to a Mage-Knight on a floating isle high in the sky, I'd think they were crazy. That doesn't even sound remotely plausible. She chuckles. Yet, here we are. There's just stuff you can't plan for. And those unexpected things that life throws your way, sometimes they end up being better than anything you could have planned for. Her signature smile finally returns. A flock of birds suddenly shoot up into the sky. The movement tosses back our hair, and we watch them fly by in silence.
So, do you have anyone to go back to?
What, like a girlfriend? Leanna's cheeks redden. She nods. Never had one. Backstory. Truth. Women totally love me. Like, all the time. All of them. Backstory. Lie. I've been with a fair share of women. Backstory. Truth. Nothing serious. Backstory. Truth. Not that one. Not this one right here. That's a bad one. You know what? I think we're going to go with never had one. I've never had a girlfriend. Leanna's eyes widen a little.
Really?
She blushes. I can't tell if she admires that I've never been with anyone or if she's just shocked. I smile. Yeah, I've just never wanted to date just for the sake of dating. Call me crazy, but I think when you meet that special someone, you'll just know. Leanna smiles as her blush deepens. What about you? Leanna looks away as she blushes.
I've never been with anyone.
Whew, we played this right. Seriously? I find it hard to believe that someone like you hasn't been in a relationship.
Someone like me?
Charming, smart, hardworking, patient, beautiful. Need I go on? Leanna's blush deepens.
You're seriously exaggerating. But thanks.
She clears her throat and scrambles to her feet before I can ask any more questions.
You ready to go?
Yeah, I guess so. I gotta ruin the moment. I nod, my heart still pounding. I stand to clear my thoughts. Yeah, let's roll. She's still blushing too, yes! We bounce across even more platforms. It takes a lot more work to soar to them than before, partially because they're further and further apart, and partially because I'm already weary from all the air hopping we did earlier. The sky is painted pink and purple by the time we reach the highest floating isle. We step onto the island and look around. The flowers shimmy in the breeze, and in the far corner is a familiar sight of a temple ruin.
This must be it.
I hear a low groaning sound. What was that?
This must be the entrance.
I follow her gaze to a large open archway. It's too dark for me to tell what's inside. A freezing, moaning wind spirals out of it and rustles the grass and flowers outside. I shiver, but try to shake off the cold. I'll go ahead. I walk towards the entrance and the wind howls. It roars and tumbles out of the door, pushing me away. I grunt and try to fight my way through, but I'm unsuccessful.
It looks like there's a strong gust of wind here to keep people from entering. Let's try springing ourselves forward.
That might work. I nod. Both Leanna and I take our place. With a running start, we use wind to augment our speed and try to push through. Even though Leanna makes it ahead of me, the wind is too strong and we're both eventually pushed out. Damn!
Here, take my hand.
Huh?
I'll slingshot you in.
Oh!
If this is where the elemental will be, maybe absorbing the energy will lower this barrier, and I can follow after.
I nod and take her hand.
1, 2, 3!
Whee! We both dash forward, channeling our energy, and push as deep as we can. At the point of overpowerment, Leanna rotates and throws me, slingshotting me forward. I fly through the gusts and tumble into the temple. Looking back, I can't see her past the darkness. At least that worked. I end up in a room filled with crumbling stone and rusted relics. Surprisingly, I stand alone in this room. Where's the elemental? She was always waiting for me in the last 2 temples. Am I supposed to summon her somehow? I take a look around the room. More items are scattered about, but I don't spot anything that looks obviously magical. I don't know how to do scan like Leanna and Amy, and the Pongo isn't here to gravitate towards anything with energy. What should I do? I step further in, then pause when a pair of inverted eyes appear from the top of my vision. With a sharp yelp, I fall back. This one looks adorable. The other ones were oddly sexy. This one's just cute and adorable. A young lady giggles as she floats over. I think that's the air elemental. Instead of imparting me with her power, she merely watches me. Can you communicate? You spooked me? Okay, then. Well, let's see if we can communicate. I pull myself off of the ground. She beams as she watches me. Hello. She doesn't react. Can you talk? She blinks at me and tilts her head. I don't think this is working. What should I do? I bring my hand up to my chin to think. The air elemental blinks and does the same thing, resting her chin in her hand. Whoa, wait. Are you copying me? I slowly wave a hand. After a second, she smiles and does the same. You are, aren't you? I tap the top of my head. She giggles and does the same. She seems pretty playful. I make a pointer with my hand and slowly reach towards her. She floats closer and does the same with her hand. Our hands move closer and closer until our fingertips touch. The sensation is something I've never felt before. Although my finger doesn't fall through her like an illusion, I don't feel a physical contact with her. Through my fingertip, I feel a tendril of calm, ethereal energy, almost like she's testing me. She smirks and suddenly a gale storm erupts in the room. It circles around me, whipping my hair into my eyes, but I stay steady on my feet. After the wind envelops me, it begins to channel into my body. I feel the rush of energy coursing through me. It makes me feel weightless, as if lifting the burdens of gravity from my body. The stronger and more rejuvenated I feel, the more the elemental begins to fade. Before she disappears, she grins and raises her hand to wave. Thank you! The last thing I see is her beaming smile as I absorb the last bit of energy and she disappears. That was a surreal experience. I start making my way back through the tunnel.
Hey!
I see Leanna jog over.
The wind outside disappeared, so I came in here as fast as I could. Did something happen?
Yeah, I found the air elemental. Leanna brings up her manipulator and does a scan.
It seems like you absorbed the energy in here as well.
I nod. Yep, she transferred the energy like the other elementals, but the experience was a bit different.
Different?
She was curious about me. Instead of waiting for me in the room to transfer the energy immediately, she started copying my movements, almost like she was playing with me. It was pretty cool. Leanna blinks.
Are you telling me you played a mind game with one of the ancients?
I suppose so. Leanna looks amused.
I'm sure Amy will want to know the details of what happened. To be honest, I'm pretty curious myself.
Well, I could tell you
It's
on...
been a while now. And now that we've gotten what we came for, we should head back.
Well, I could fill you in with everything on the way. I don't mind telling the story twice. Agreed. But first, let's grab a few things.
Oh, right. You did promise Kara.
We search around the room and decide on a few interesting trinkets and coins to pack up. Once we're all set, we exit the temple. That is gorgeous with the setting sun. We both pause outside once we see the dazzling sky. It's ablaze with streaks of violet and gold. Even the puffs of clouds passing by are painted lavender or orange, adding to the portrait in the sky. The colors seem more vibrant so high up here, and the view takes my breath away.
I thought the view was beautiful before, but this is a wonder.
We take in the scenery. This is what I meant by earlier. Things like this create a memory that lasts a lifetime.
I agree.
Golden rays shine brightly in the sky as the sun travels beneath the clouds, like one last hurrah from the sun before it sets. I don't know how long we stand here before I break the silence. We should head back. I turned to walk back towards whence we came, but I'm met with a solid resistance. Huh? I try to walk forward again, but I'm pushed back and placed by a stiff wind. It's as if I'm entering the temple again. I stumble and try again, but the wind pushes me back. Hey, Leanna, where did this... I turn around and the words catch in my throat. Her gauntlet glows a pale blue while her face is bright red. I look at her in confusion. Leanna? The wind hooks around my back and guides me gently towards her. Her cheeks brighten as the glow on her manipulator fades. What's going on?
I want to live in the moment.
She steps closer to me. I feel the same way. This is the moment we've all been waiting for. Leanna stares up at me with her bright cerulean eyes. My face burns as my heart rate quickens. She's so close to me. I can smell the intoxicating perfume of her hair, and I feel lightheaded, like I'm under her spell. The radiant sunset fades from view as I gaze at Leanna. The fading sunlight illuminates her hair like a halo, and I reach out a hand to tuck a strand behind her ear. She smiles softly at my touch, then looks imploringly at me as she bites her lip. Her sudden confidence melts, and I see a hopeful vulnerability in her gaze. I'm pulling her close. Don't have to ask me twice. It finally happens. I wrap my arms around her back and pull her into me. She lets out a soft breath of surprise as her hands rest on my chest. I trace the outline of her cheek with my thumb. Her face turns red, and I can feel the heat of her blush, but she doesn't pull away. Instead, she leans into my touch. Gently, I begin to close the space between our lips. She tilts her head towards me, and her lips part. I can feel her breath, and I pause just as our noses touch. Her breath catches at the electricity of our touch. The air feels thick and charged with energy as we hover so delicately in limbo. Her hands trace down my chest, and her breathing becomes shallow as she anticipates the meeting of our lips. I feel the fire of her fingers as they trail down my chest. Slowly, her eyes close. Duh! Closing my eyes, I close the gap between us until our lips meet. In that moment, with the sweet taste of her on my lips, I'm not thinking of home. I'm not thinking of how or why I arrived here. I'm not thinking about my past, about how someday all of this might be torn away. I stopped thinking about anything at all. Only her. Breathless, we pull back and look at each other. She smiles, and it's more beautiful than the sky above. There's no doubt about it. I'm crazy for this girl. I just realized something. Leanna blinks. This means your "Hey there, sailor" line has a 100% success rate. Leanna hits my chest playfully.
Really? Are you you trying to ruin the mood?
Sorry. Should we go back to kissing?
Just stop talking.
She tugs me close and kisses me again. The world disappears as we share each other's embrace. Once the sun dips low and the sky begins to turn indigo, we reluctantly part. Hand in hand and big goofy smiles on our faces, we begin to head back to reconvene with the rest of our group. The journey back is significantly easy as we are jumping to lower platforms rather than higher. We make good time traveling back. Even still, we would periodically stop just to take in the view again. This is definitely a sight I will never forget. We finally make it back to the tip of the mountain where we started. I hear the thunderous crack of discharges in the distance. Leanna and I freeze. What's that? Another boom interrupts me. We hurry down and I hear the clang of blades and a sharp crackle of spells.
Something's wrong.
Leanna runs. I sprint after her. Of course, when things go so great, they go so wrong when we get back. The closer we approach camp, the clearer the sounds become. The clashing of steel, discharges firing, people yelling. My heart pounds and I urge the wind to propel me faster. From here, I can make out Zack, Amy, and Kara surrounded by a group of bandits. Half a dozen of them surround Zack alone.
We have you now, Death Slinger.
Leanna seems surprised. She mutters under her breath.
Deathslinger?
A wall of flames explodes in the bandits' path. Their attacks waver as the crackling fire makes them take cover. It takes me a whole second to realize that Amelia cast it.
We have to help!
Agreed. Amy wills the flames to climb higher, her face twisted in concentration. Amy, watch out! Amelia spins around. A gale booms across the field, tearing apart grass and flinging up dirt. The bandits go flying.
They've got backup.
Leanna and I leap near our group. She scowls and draws her blade.
Don't just stand there. Get them!
I should be used to unexpected things like this by now, but my heart still pounds. I unsheath my sword. Okay, early access and still working on it. Epic fight, though.
Is everyone okay?
I nod, panting and surveying the damage around me. Zack grabs one of the bandits who is barely hanging on to consciousness.
How did you find me?
Kara's eyes widen.
Find you?
The bandit stays silent. With a frustrated growl, Zack drops him back down on the ground and grabs another bandit. He takes out his blaster and shoots the bandit he dropped. The guy yelps as the bolt blasts into him. He faces the new bandit he grabbed.
Talk, or the same thing happens to you.
The bandit spits in Zack's face. Not a smart move, dude.
I have nothing to say to you, traitor.
Zack scowls and punches the man across the face, knocking him out cold.
Traitor?
We hear a shallow laughter and turn to face another bandit clutching his side.
No one joins the Cloaked Brotherhood and leaves. You should already know that. Zack Spade.
Cloaked Brotherhood?
Zack walks over to the bandit and kicks him across the face until he finally falls unconscious. Zack searches for any other bandits who may be awake, but no one else is responsive. Suddenly, Kara marches up to Zack with her dagger drawn. Whoa, what the...
You were a part of the Cloaked Brotherhood this entire time?
Kara's voice is harsh, and her eyes only contain hostility. Zack holds her gaze and doesn't flinch.
I am not a part of the Cloaked Brotherhood.
Then why did he call you a traitor? How do they know what your name is? Tell me!
Zack steps closer to her blade, his expression cold and stony.
I already told you, I am not a part of them.
Kara retracts her blade, but keeps glaring at him.
How do you even know who the Cloaked Brotherhood are?
Kara's eyes harden into polished jade. Her voice is flat and cold.
Because they destroyed my only home and family.
The plot thickens. She sheathes her dagger and begins to walk away. Amy had stayed silent this entire time, watching the scene unfold, but she tries to stop Kara.
Kara.
Kara stops and gently shrugs out of her grasp.
I need some time to think.
Then she disappears into the trees. The air around Zack has been thick with tension ever since the ambush. Kara still hasn't returned. We set up camp without her, not really sure what to do. Zack stays secluded from us and leans against a tree. His hair covers his face. It's been a while. Maybe we should look for her. Leanna frowns and shakes her head.
It's probably best to give her some space for now.
She's probably right. Still, there's a heavy weight on my chest. I can tell Kara's hurting, but I'm even more confused by what's going on. What was that guild they were talking about?
I'm not too sure. It sounds like a mercenary guild.
Probably not a reputable one considering Kara's reaction. Leanna looks troubled. What's wrong?
They called him the Death Slinger.
Who exactly is the Death Slinger?
He's an infamous mercenary for hire. They say he has a death wish. The Death Slinger would take on missions and jobs that no one else would take on because of how dangerous they were. Anyone crazy enough to do those jobs were said to have no regard for their own life. Somehow the Death Slinger took those impossible jobs and found a way to survive. At the Mage Guild, we were warned that there were certain encounters, or individuals, who if we ran into, we would not, under any circumstances, engage them. The Death Slinger is one of those people.
Sounds like a terrifying dude. Leanna shifts uncomfortably.
He has one of the highest body counts out of any mercenary.
A look at Zack. He may be a bit rough around the edges, but I know that deep down he cares about people. What the Death Slinger did doesn't sound like Zack at all. But this also isn't the first time we've seen him with bandits after him. When we first encountered him, Leanna mentioned those bandits seemed weird. Was this mercenary guild chasing him? Can we trust Zack? Leanna hesitates, but Amelia pipes up.
Regardless of Zack's past, it appears his present self is no longer affiliated with the Cloaked Brotherhood, or his persona of Deathslinger. He has also not betrayed us thus far.
Good point. I suppose if he really wanted to do us harm, there would have been plenty of opportunities already. Leanna nods, deep in thought. Still, I wonder what that guy meant by traitor. Amy frowns pensively.
I have a few theories, although I do not advocate jumping to any conclusions before we have discussed the matter with Zack or Kara. Regardless, his previous time as the Deathslinger is something he has attempted to keep hidden away to disassociate himself with his past.
Leanna and I nod. Everyone has a past, but it's how they act in the future that's important. I hear footsteps. We turn to see Kara finally returning to camp. Zack whirls around. I can't read the expression on his face. Relief? Uncertainty? As she gets closer, I notice that her eyes are puffy and pink. It's clear that she has been crying, but her expression remains cold. She stops in front of Zack.
Tell me about the Cloaked Brotherhood.
What do you want to know?
How did you become associated with them?
Zack pauses. At first, I think he's going to refuse to answer, but eventually he does.
They gave me my mission to silence a target. It was a part of their initiation.
Kara inhales sharply.
So you were looking to join them?
I can't see her face, but by her voice, I can tell she's angry and disgusted. Zack nods. Kara's frown deepens.
That was before I knew what they were all about. When I went to carry out the mission, that's when I found out the truth. My target was an ex-member of the Cloaked Brotherhood. The rule is, the Brotherhood is for life. This person didn't want to kill anymore, and he ran away. He was being hunted but had evaded the Brotherhood for years. When they finally found him, he was living a simple life in a small village with a wife and 2 kids. The mission was to kill him and everyone close to him, and to send a clear message for anyone else who would want to leave the Brotherhood. That was my initiation.
These guys are terrifying.
I know my target killed people. Probably innocent people too, since he was part of the Brotherhood. But his family was innocent. Their only crime was knowing him. I've never killed innocent people before, and I wasn't going to start then.
I risk a glance over my shoulder. Kara's arms are crossed, but she seems to be listening.
When I found my target, I warned him of my mission and told him I would cover him so he and his family could escape. I knew the others who joined me in my mission would kill me if they knew I'd betrayed them. So I took them out before they could get me. And then I let my target go free. Once the Cloaked Brotherhood found out I didn't complete the mission and help the target escape, I knew they would start hunting me. I tried to get away and stayed in hiding for as long as I could.
Kara finally lets out a loose sigh. The tension unwinds from her body as she slumps a little. She seems to believe Zack. Zack looks directly at Kara.
But they are a very covert guild who deal in secrets. How do you even know of the Cloaked Brotherhood?
That's the next big question. Now we've got some of Zack's history. What's her story? Her voice is thick with tears, and I can tell she's trying to hold them back.
My dad was one of their targets.
Oh.
He had stumbled into some information when he was working as a treasurer's assistant. He reported it to the treasurer, who had been corrupt and sought to silence him. We escaped, but our life was never the same. We had to move from city to city and never stayed in one place for longer than a few days. My dad would be gone for hours, sometimes even days at a time. But no matter how long he was gone, I was never really afraid because I always knew he'd come back for me. Until one day, he didn't. I knew something had happened to him, but I had no way of finding him. I spent my life trying to figure out what had happened. I dug into as much as I could. The treasurer, what it was, who called the hit, everything. I found out it was the Cloaked Brotherhood who did it, but there was no more information I could gather on them. They cover all of their tracks. I'm not sure if he's really dead or not. I've tried to come to terms with it.
But you want closure.
She nods. Zack pauses and surveys her for a moment.
I know their base of operation. They have a ledger there that keeps records of all the jobs. So even though this happened years ago, you could still find your answer.
Kara's back straightens. There's a glimmer of hope in her eyes.
But do you really want to know the truth? It might not be the answer you want to hear.
Kara's jaw clenches and our eyes are aflame with determination.
Yes.
Zack nods. Kara's expression softens.
I'm sorry for jumping to conclusions earlier. I just haven't heard the name Cloaked Brotherhood in so long, and as soon as I heard it...
She looks down.
I understand.
I won't be able to concentrate knowing there's finally a lead I can pursue about my dad. As much as I don't want to, I'll have to leave the group.
She turns away, but Zack grabs her arm. Oh, hold on here. He's making moves now?
I'm coming with you.
Kara's eyes widen.
What?
I've been running from my past for long enough, but enough is enough. They'll never stop searching for me, and the longer I run, the more I put others at risk.
He gestures at Amy and the rest of us.
I don't want to be the one that puts all of us in danger. I'd never forgive myself if I let them hurt the ones I care about most.
He cares about us. He looks into Kara's eyes. Her cheeks flush, but a small smile graces her lips.
I guess we'll both be leaving then.
Looks like it.
When they turn around to approach us, Leanna is already standing, smiling expectantly.
So, where do we go next to take care of the Cloaked Brotherhood?
That was my question. Kara freezes, her mouth agape.
What?
You said you guys are going to take care of that guild, right? What's our next step?
Zack and I are going to go alone.
No, you're not. Amy shakes her head.
If your description of the Cloaked Brotherhood is accurate, then this mission will have a greater chance of success with the aid of the entire group.
Yes, it will. Zack crosses his arms.
Absolutely not. It's too dangerous.
I believe my combat abilities as a Mage-Caster have been proven on numerous occasions.
She has a point.
As a Mage-Knight, an active member of the Mage Guild, I have been trained for dangerous missions such as this.
Kara looks at me.
But what about collecting energy to help him get back home?
That can wait. They look expectantly at me. That can wait. It's really not so bad here. I don't want to be a part of this. That can wait. We've already hit 3 temples, and that last temple isn't going anywhere anytime soon. You all didn't hesitate to help me when I needed it. I know my skills aren't quite as impressive, but I'm ready to do my part to help you guys too. Leanna smiles approvingly at my response. Kara's at a loss for words, for once.
I'm not sure what to say.
Yep. We all glance in surprise at the Pongo. See? Even the Pongo wants to go. He nuzzles Kara's legs and gives Zack a tentative look, who returns his look with a stony glance. Mustering up his courage, he scoots over to Zack and nuzzles his legs briefly, then races to the safety of my legs. Zack's expression is not harsh as he watches the Pongo.
If this is what you guys want to do, I'm not going to stop you.
Kara looks like she's about to say something, then changes her mind and shakes her head. A smile spreads across her lips.
Thanks, you guys.
The tensions in the air disperse, and things start to feel like they're back to normal. Leanna and Kara share wide grins, and even Amy looks positive.
Let's get going then.
Onwards to wherever it is the Cloaked Brotherhood is. To be continued, and what a way to end that chapter. A whole array of emotions. I'm happy we finally admitted our love to Leanna, and she admitted it back. We come back to the tension. Holy crap. Now we just gotta wait for Chapter 4, and I'm super excited to do so. I hope you guys did enjoy Chapter 3. I'm going to keep a close eye out for Chapter 4 and keep an eye on PixelFade's Discord to see when that's going to finally be released here on Early Access. As always, if you did enjoy the video, make sure to let me know by hitting the like button down below or leaving a comment. Feel free to check out PixelFade and the links in the description down below, and I will see all you heroes in the next video. Thanks so much for watching. May the Force be with you, and have a great rest of your day. Take care.